Take it. Nah, let me see. Let me think. Let me think. A little bit.
Last.
Bluetooth. You know who Eric Thomas is?
Eric Thomas?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Maybe.
You ever listen to no motivational speeches, huh? Yeah, that's what you gotta listen to. Music is cool. You gotta listen to music when it's time. But this is stuff you gotta listen to right now. It's, yeah, it's time. And Eric Thomas and Johnson, I'm showing you a lot of stuff. This is one right here. This is Chuck. Yes, yeah, this is what you're doing this for. Go in there, get the early head start.
Dining set for just $2.95 at Living Spaces. We design furniture with affordable materials and build the products ourselves. Or source directly from the factory with prices as low as this. Imagine whatever deals you'll find only at Living Spaces. Living Spaces.
Yeah, you probably play some, you can show play some Eric Thomas.
Jeremiah 29:11 reads, "For I know the plans I have, declares the Lord, plans to prosper." Great to honor God because I feel like God gave me a second chance at life. And so I feel like I'm doing what God put me on this earth to do.
See, my mother had me when she was 15 years old, right? Over on the east side of Atlanta, we came up in this neighborhood by the name of Kirkwood, drug dealer in every corner, gang members in the neighborhood, 2-bedroom home, 14 people, used to sleep on the floor. Got the opportunity to sleep in the bed one time out of the week. It was 6 of us in the bed, 3 at the foot, 3 in the head. And I came up with this dream pretty quick. I said, man, I want to go to the NFL because I had 8 uncles in that house, all 8 of which were still going in and out of prison. And so pretty quick, I said, man, I want to go to the NFL. So I went to my big cousin tomorrow one night. I said, man, listen, I want to go to the NFL, so we got to work for this thing. So the thing we're going to do every night, we're going to be patient, we're going to engage in consistent action. Every night, we're going to race light pole to light pole, no fear. So every night we get out on the street, race light pole to light pole. One night, a coach came down the street. He signed me and my cousins up for organized sports, right? First time being in organized sports. We get in organized sports. The thing was, after practice, everybody would leave to go home. And I always had to sit on the because she works at night. And so when my mother would show up in the car, it would be about 10 o'clock, 10:30 at night. So I'm sitting there, and when my mother would pull up, she drove an old Buick Regal, hubcapped off the car, seat turned up, the car was all beat up. And she would pull up in the park 10:30 at night. I would jump off the bench. I would spin over to my mother. I would say, Mom, if you don't mind, can you please sit back in your car and turn on your car light? I have to do some extra drills. I have to go to the NFL so you'll never have to work another day in your life. And I knew my mother was happy. And every night, my mother would sit back in that car, and those car lights would hit that floor. And he had a 7-year-old kid doing back carries, running sprints, running laps, chasing his dream to go to the NFL. But just beyond those car lights, I could always connect with my mother's eyes. And so it made me dig a little bit deeper. It made me push myself a little bit further. It made me work a little bit harder. It created a certain level of sweat equity in what I was doing. It created a certain level of pride. And so I went to Kim High School, one of the lowest performing public schools in the whole state of Georgia. Dropout rate higher than the graduation rate. People didn't go to college. I went to Kim my first day. I walked through the doors. The melon detective cop said, "What's your plan, little man?" I said, "My plan is to go D1. He said, "Nah, you'll probably end up in cell block D1. I said, "Nah, you got the wrong guy." He said, "Nah, you'll probably end up in cell block D1. I said, "Nah, you got the wrong guy." After my freshman year, my mother and father both came to me. They said, "Izzy, the transfer you from this place. You got a scholarship at Tucker High School." They said, "All you have to do is come and play the next 3 years. They guarantee you a scholarship is yours." I said, please, leave me at one of the lowest performing public schools in the whole state of Georgia. I can get a scholarship from this place. Son, nobody goes to college here. Please, let me stay here. I can make it from this place. They transferred me anyway. First football game, tore the ligaments in my ankle, out for the season, ended up in a wheelchair. Wrote back to my parents, would you please transfer me back to one of the lowest performing public schools in the whole state of Georgia? My pastor said, you really want to go there? I said, please transfer me back here. I need to go back there. And so the summer going into my senior year, we got blessed with a new coach. He came to me, I was done with football. He said, man, please come and work out for me. Just do one workout for me. I said, okay, coach, I'll come out, I'll work out. I ran a 40-yard dash, I did some clone drills. He came up to me after the workout. He said, son, what college do you want to go to? I said, man, I just want to go D1. He said, no, you're not hearing me, son. What college do you want to go to? I said, man, I just want to go D1. He said, after the first couple of games, we'll put together a tape and we'll see what happens. After the first 2 games, I had 9 touchdowns. It was all she wrote from there. And I'll never forget the day the University of Tennessee came in and the coach took a chance on me. He sat down with me and he said, son, I want to offer you a full scholarship to the University of Tennessee. It was so crazy. I responded and I told him, I'm coming. And he laughed. He said, son, I don't even think you understand how the whole process works. I said, no, I don't think you understand. I said, you're talking to a kid that comes from a 2-bedroom home, 14 people. You're talking to a kid that every morning when I caught the bus, I would race to be the first one at the bus stop. Now I'll be standing there taking my book bag and my jackets out to make sure there were no roaches and rats. So when I tell you I'm coming, I am coming. You don't even have to waste the university's money. I don't have to see the campus. I don't have to see the city. You offer me a scholarship, I'm coming. He said, yeah, but I still want you to take an official visit. I agreed. I went up on a Friday night. I'll never forget, they took me to Calhoun's on the River. It's a restaurant in Knoxville, Tennessee. We come out, we got a host, right? And so the job of a host, they're supposed to give you a great time on campus, take you to parties, make you fall in love with the place. And so I come out with my host and he said, Ink, there's a sorority party, there's a barbecue, and there's a basketball game. Which one would you like to go to? I said, man, if you don't mind, can you take me to my hotel? We pull up to the hotel, I'm getting out of the car. He said, wait, are you sick? I said, no, I'm not sick. You see, what my host didn't understand, that night at the Marriott, that was my first time staying in the bed by myself. Think I cared about a sorority party? Think I cared about a barbecue or a basketball game? But the next day when I saw that coach, I thanked him, and I still do this until this day when I see him. I said, thank you, not only for changing my life, but changing a whole generation's life that you don't even know you touched. So when I got back to Kirkwood, I went to everybody that told me I wouldn't make it. I went to that cop in that lunchroom and I said, I told you, you had the wrong guy. So now everybody's response was, Ink, why did you fight so hard to come back to Clem High School? You had a guaranteed scholarship across town at one of the top programs. Why did you fight to come back with a dropout rate that's higher than the graduation rate, sir? Why did you fight to come back to this place? And I said, you guys are missing the boat. And the thing that people didn't understand, the reason I had that decision and choice to make, it wasn't about Inky Johnson. Every night I slept on that floor with those roaches and rats. I had 3 little cousins that slept on that same floor as me. And you know what happened? When I went to college, you know what all 3 of them, I was the first one in my family to go to college. You know what all 3 of my little cousins did? Man, I don't have to sell dope. I don't have to join a gang. I don't have to end up in prison. I don't have to end up dead. All 3 of them got up off the same floor, went to college and graduated, and now they serve in the Army. That is why I went back to Clem High School.
At Cox, we're always a step ahead. Like how the price of your plan won't go up for 3 years. Guaranteed. That's refreshing. Woo, nice.
Lock the price of your plan for 3 years. Just another way we keep you a step ahead.
Had nothing to do with it. If every decision and choice you make is just about you, at a certain point you're going to hit something that's a lot tougher than you. It's going to make you quit because you don't have a driving force for why you do what you do. But when I got up to the University of Tennessee, it was simple. It was simple for me to give everything I had. My freshman year, I played special teams. My sophomore season, I broke the star lineup. Had a really strong sophomore season. The summer heading into my junior year, I still remember the day where I was sitting in our film room. I was watching film on the California Bears. My defensive backs coach, Larry Slade, came in the room. He said, Inky, I got some good news for you. I dropped the clip. I said, what is it? He said, man, you're projected top 30 draft pick, son. He said, all you have to do is play the next 10 football games. You're an automatic multi-millionaire. I went out of the room. I called my mother and my grandmother on the three-way. I said, after this season, there will be no more struggle. I said, we would never miss another meal. I said, we would never experience another Christmas where you have to stand on the side of the curb and just be grateful. Got hung it up. First football game, I went out, played great, got an interception, shut Cal down. Second game, we played against Air Force, got late in the game, fourth quarter, guy dropped back, he threw the ball to a receiver coming out my sideline. Me and the guy, we went head on. Soon as I hit the guy, I felt as if every breath in my body left. Body went completely limp, fell to the ground, I blacked out. Never happened to me. And my eyes open, I'll never forget, my teammates ran over, they said, "Hey, get up, let's go." But I can't. I can't move. So what do you mean you can't move? Y'all locked down center, man. We need you. Let's go. I said, I know, man, but this time I can't move. I put my head up to the sky and said, God, I said, surely nothing is happening in this moment that can alter my life. They got me over to the hospital and took me back. They ran CAT scans. They brought me back into my room, and all in a 15-second time frame, the doctor came running in from the opposite side. He said, "Hey, get in here. We got to rush this guy back to emergency surgery. He's about to die." I said, "What?" He said, "Son, you have busted up your craving artery in your chest. You're bleeding internally. You have to rush you back. Take the main vein out of your left leg, plug it into your chest in order to save your life." When I opened my eyes from recovery, the same doctor was over me. He said, "Son, I have some good news and some bad news for you." I said, "You got some bad news for me? After telling me I was about to die, I'm still alive. How bad can it get? I'm still here." He said, "The good news is you saved your life." I said, "Thank you, sir." He said, "The bad news is you have nerve damage in your right shoulder." I said, "Okay, cool." He said, "But son, it's a strong possibility that you probably could never play the game of football again in your life." I said, "No way." I said, "No." I'm gonna land the plane with this, fellas. Have any of you guys are pretty young. I don't know if you ever seen the movie Troy. I love movies, right? Because I pull messages from movies. And so with the movie Troy, the whole concept and basis of the movie Troy, they were fighting for territory, right? And Brad Pitt was the star.
You see it,
But in the movie, Brad Pitt's name was Achilles, right? He was that guy. But the way they would fight for territory, you could show up and say, "Hey man, I want to go tribe versus tribe," right? Or you could show up and say, "Hey man, I feel like I got one of the coldest warriors in the land, and you don't have anybody in your tribe that can do anything with him. I want to go warrior versus warrior." And so because Brad Pitt, Achilles, was so cold-blooded, whenever they would show up, his king would never say, "I want to go tribe versus tribe." His king would always show up and say, "I want to go warrior versus warrior." He would say, "I don't think you got nobody in your tribe that could do anything with Achilles." And they was fighting for land. And so Achilles got to the point, he was like, "Man, we got enough land. Like, this guy's just getting greedy. He just want to keep taking land. Like, he just want to keep taking property. We cool." And so he was getting weary. And so they came to him one day and was like, "Man, we got 2 more battles. We just got to finish. After this, they say we're done." Achilles was like, "Man, I'm cool." And so they went to the battle before the last battle, right? It's like your conference championship before the national championship, right? And when they arrived, they were there, and the opposite team came across, and Achilles' king said, "How you want to do this, man? How you want to get down? How you want to fight for it?" And this time, somebody was on the same frequency that he was on. The opposite king